Alright guys, welcome to my first video on Tower of God New World. And in today's video I just wanted to start a beginner's guide so that I can try to help new players understand this game a little bit better and understand where to spend their resources, who to build for, which elements, like which teams are better in which scenarios. So I will start this series with first video on wishlist. So which teams you should build first, which unit you should use in those teams, etc. And also when to start pivoting to a different element. So without further ado, let's start this video. I will just put the wishlist title here. And let's first of all talk about what is the wish list, what I'm talking about. So basically when you open the standard summoning banner, you will see these 5 units. Well, you will not see these 5 units, you will see 5 slots. You will have to select which unit you want to place in which spot. And the leftmost spot is the one with the highest chance of being pulled when you summon, and the remaining 4 have the same chance of being pulled. The exact rates can be found here in the rates menu. You will see that there is a total chance of 4.7% of pulling an SSR or higher character. And the leftmost spot in the wishlist will have a 1.8% chance. The remaining 4 will have a total of 1.8, so an individual chance of 0.45%, and the remaining ones will be at really, really low numbers, totaling at 1.1%. So you still have a 1.1% chance of not pulling someone in the wish list, which strangely enough happen quite often. But yeah. So that being said, let's just go over which are the first teams you should build and why. So as your first team, I highly suggest, and that's also some sort of consensus we have in the community, is that you should either go for the yellow element or the purple element. That is because of 2 main reasons. The first one being that in this game, like in most others, there is a thing called elemental disadvantage. So there are elements that are stronger against certain elements, etc. And in this game, you have the usual red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red. But then you have also yellow and purple that works similarly to other games where you have like dark and light. They more or less counter each other. In this game is the same, but it has a little twist, which is if you have more units of one element than the opponent has of the opposing element. So if you have more yellow units than the enemy has purple units, all your yellow units will have advantage over the opposing units, and they will have nothing against you. So it's really important when you see stages where the enemy has a certain number of purple units to have more yellow than their purple units. And if you have the same number, so if both of you have 5 of the same element, which is the maximum number of a team, in that case, what happens is that you will just deal additional damage to each other, and that's it. So this is the first reason. The second reason is because these 2 elements have the best SSR carries in the game. So for yellow element, this carry is Hiwa Yeon. She deals AoE damage that hits the whole enemy team, and she deals really high damage. She's also ranged, so she can stay out of harm's way. She can just stay in the back and dish out crazy damage. Then for the purple element, we have Oakin. Is not ranged, is a close fighter, so unfortunately he will need a lot more investment for him to shine, because close ranged fighters just like happen to die easily at high deficits. But I would say this guy, if you get him at full rainbow, which that's something you that is something you want for your carry units, so nothing too crazy. Uh, at that point, this guy can oftentimes survive long enough for him to cast the ultimate, regenerate a lot of health, then starts teleporting to the enemy team and wiping them all out. So really, really good unit, even at high deficits. So which team should you pick? It's totally up to you. There is no like better choice. So you could make the decision based on personal preference, which of the two carries you like the most. Or the other way you could make this decision, which is probably the most logical one, is which SSR plus units you have. Obviously, if you have an SSR plus yellow unit, you should probably build the yellow team. If it's this guy, not necessarily. If it's Evan, yes. If you have an Evan, you should build a Hiwayon. You should go for a yellow team because this guy is a beast. He has invincibility on his ultimate for the whole team. Is really good. So if you have him, then definitely build the yellow team first. If you have uh, Karaka or Gustang, definitely build the purple team first. If you have her, Kun Mashani, or Kun Edan, no, Data Edan, not necessarily. It doesn't really matter. These guys, until 3 green, they're not really that viable. Yeah. So, but if you have Evan, Gustang, or Karaka, pick the respective element. So, that being said, I just said to build them first because by floor 16 you will need both yellow and purple teams. Before, before Joaquin came out, there was like possibility of building as a second team red, but now I don't suggest it anymore. Purple and yellow are just too good, so you should definitely pick one of the two as the first team, and then the other one will be the second team by floor 16. That's all. So I will just pop up on the screen two possible wish list you could go for, and I will also explain why. So for the purple element, we have Joaquin at the leftmost spot. Obviously, you always want to put your carries in the leftmost spot until they are almost fully built. And then the other four spot could be other filling units. So in this case, for the purple element, you have not that many choices actually, but you have one forced choice, which is Kunagero, because he's a really good unit. He has AoE stun. He can take out from the fight an enemy for 8 seconds, and he can also buff the attack of all purple element allies. Crazy good. He is the best support for the purple element, at least as far as SSR goes. But yeah, so is your choice. If you want to go purple, you have to build him as well. The other option that I put in the list and that I don't have built in my account is Kunkiseya. She's an assassin. She helps a lot as a sub DPS, so she can take out annoying enemies from the enemy backline. She's mostly single target and she's an assassin, which assassin have an issue due to a lack of accuracy, which is funny if you think about assassins not being accurate, but yeah. Mainly, this is due to the fact that the first slot, usually for most other classes, has at least full accuracy, but for assassin and ranged units, ranger units, they have a split between accuracy and evasion. And the slot 3 is full evasion. So they have the least amount of accuracy as compared to other classes. But this is not really a big problem later on. You have ways to offset this, so it's not really a problem. And she's not a main carry anyway, because that spot is for Joaquin, so as a sub DPS, it's fine. You with the auto how was it auto progress feature they implemented in the game, you can just have it retry endlessly until the RNG shine upon you and help you hit all your hits. So yeah, that's what I suggest as the core for the purple team. Then obviously one spot is reserved for Karaka. I would highly suggest pulling him because once you unlock the ignition weapon system, he's a really good tank, probably the only tank in the game that doesn't have an invincibility feature built in him. So the only one that can actually tank by taking hits and taking damage as compared to just tanking because you are invincible. Yeah. So he's really, really good. Then the unit you should put in your team until you find Gustang and Karaka are uh, her and Dorsey, but you only need one copy of her because all she needs to do is just jump to the back line of the enemy team, draw the aggro, so she will just because at the beginning of the battle she will be in the enemy backline. The opposing team, hopefully, unless they have some weird assassins, etc. But we will talk more about team composition in one of the following videos. The opposing team will group up and focus her. She will die, nobody cares, but they will be grouped up, and you will have like gained a couple of seconds, probably 1 second, and at times that's more than enough for your Kisea and your Joaquin to survive a little bit longer and hopefully cast their ultimate and start snowballing from there. So that's all she needs to do. You don't need investment. You don't need dupes. You only need one copy of her. That's all. Then the other option is Nare. She is good, but she's only like an energy battery for your team, nothing crazy. And she has some debuffs, but nothing too important. The main thing is the energy recovery from her passive, and in theory, theoretically, the invincibility she can give with her ultimate. The problem is that the ultimate targets the the ally with the lowest HP, and this is a problem because you cannot control which ally will be at the lowest HP at a given time. So, yeah, not too valuable. And if you're wondering where her invincibility comes from, is from her exclusive equipment level 4. The target ally becomes invisible for 4 seconds when she casts her ultimate on them. So, mm, I would say not that great. She's a solid unit. She helps a lot. But I would say now that Gastang is out, he's probably better. Overall, he's more solid, less RNG involved. So yeah. But until you have him, definitely a good choice. Please, please, please don't build her. Just um, she's good, even though I don't want to say that because watching the I watched the anime and I follow the manhwa. So she's really I don't want to talk about her and I don't want to build her. Unfortunately, I pulled so many copies, but I don't like her and uh, she could be okay as a main DPS, but if you use her in any other spot, she's terrible. Because what she does is just with her passive, she like redirects damage she takes to the ally with the highest defense, which is Joaquin 90% of the times because your carry is always in your highest level spot. So if you have her as your main DPS, okay, she will target Karaka probably. But in any other slot, she will just focus on Joaquin so that every time she takes damage, he takes damage. And then she also steals energy from him with other skills and stuff. It's no. I mean, her kit is perfect for her. She's a really, yeah, hateful unit. But yeah, avoid her, please. Then obviously you do you, but I would avoid her. Then that's all for the purple element. I will try to speed up a little bit because the video is getting quite long and I'd like it to keep it short. So for the yellow element, obviously Hiwayon, as I said, AoE damage, crazy good carry. Then Bam is one of the best units in the game because of two things. The energy regeneration from his passive is great to help Evan cast his invincibility earlier and Hiwayon cast her ultimate earlier. So that alone is extremely important. Then he has a second really great feature, which is he gives to the highest attack unit. So again, Hiwayon, 80% attack buff and 80% defense buff plus 400 energy. These alone is really what makes this guy broken. And it lasts until the end of the battle, so it's a great buff. The problem is that it takes quite some time for him to cast this skill, and so you have to make him survive long enough. At times is not really a problem, but there could be moments where you really cannot make it. But overall is a really good unit. Then he also has other ways to regenerate energy, buff defense, buff attack. Yes, is a really good unit. So definitely for a yellow team, Hiwa, Bam, and Evan, they are the three core units of any yellow team. The remaining two spots are more or less up to you. I put hats in the list, but this guy is only useful if you pick yellow as your first element. Because this guy at around floor 16 starts to fall off pretty quickly. Because enemies become stronger and stronger, you have to fight at higher deficits, and this guy just dies. It doesn't have invincibility. His lifesteal is nowhere enough for him to survive. So yeah, at the beginning, great unit. You can just tank, destroy everyone. He has crazy damage, but then starting from floor 16, nah, not really. He's quite bad. So I put him in the list as I said. If yellow is your first team, otherwise I wouldn't bother too much with him. You could go with Vespa at that point because Vespa she has some sort of invincibility of at least 1 second in her passive, and she is good at CC if you're fighting against one enemy, but yeah, usually you only use her because she can survive due to her passive for at least 1 or 2 seconds, which might seem like nothing, but trust me, HATS lasts even like 0.1 seconds at a certain deficit. It just the battle starts, is dead, and you're like, what the? Yeah. So Vespa, really good. Then not really many other options. These two are not SSR, Gray and Gosang. They are not SSR characters. You have to upgrade them starting from R and I think SR with the advancement scrolls you get in certain events. They're good. I will talk about them more in future videos, but now not really because they're not. You cannot put them in the wish list. Then other characters that could be useful are Shibisu, but he is more for boss fights because he has single target. He has a good ultimate for single target fights, and yeah, it just decreases physical magic resistance. And then with the exclusive equipment we just saw, it buffs all allies, swiftness, attack, etc. So really, really good unit for boss fights. This guy as well is also really good for boss fights, but you need him at 3 red for the 80% defense red that will combo with a blue unit we will see later on in this video. So that's pretty much all. I would say just focus on her, Bam, then get a few copies of Vespa, Evan for sure, and then a few copies of him as well at the beginning. Then you can swap him for Gray or Gosang depending on the situation. So that's all also for yellow. So basically you decide which one to start from, but then by level 16 you will have to build the other team. So I would suggest starting to build the other element starting from like floor 12 or something. Hopefully you will have your main carry high enough, at least 3 red by then. And yeah, so in the like on the screen you can see the two wish list. There are always the main carry of the other element. As I said, you don't necessarily have to start with it at the beginning. You can go more focused on a single element, but then at least start putting them uh, like before floor 16. So I would say at least floor 8 already put the other unit in it, the other carry, and then the support maybe around floor 10 or something. Then by floor 12, I would put the leftmost spot the other carry, given you have the main one at least 3 red. Then I will briefly also talk about the other 3 elements. I will show the wish list in the meantime on the screen. In this case, it's a lot more dependent on which SSR plus characters you have. And there is no right or wrong choice here because like yellow and purple counter each other, but these guys, like if you build a red element team, you will struggle against stages where you only have blue element as opponents. If you build it green, you will struggle against red. If you build blue, you will struggle against green. So there is no right or wrong, but it's highly suggested to build them based on the SSR plus you have. So if you have Viol, a 3 green, then the red element is a great choice. If you have Evankel, I don't know, because Evankel has a problem as compared to Viol. Viol is viable starting from 3 green. She is not. She will die. So you need. Look, as you can see, I have her at full rainbow, and she started to carry me through high deficits only at full rainbow. If you have her at 4 orange, she will still die. So I would suggest if you really like this character, because she's really good, she has great AoE, only do so if you are willing to pull on the black market a lot and get her to full rainbow. Otherwise, you're better off with Viol, definitely. And also, Viol is stronger against the hard as compared to Evankel, because Evankel only has 4 seconds invincibility with her ultimate, which is the reason why you want her full rainbow, by the way, because she's highly dependent on the ultimate to survive. And yeah, so if you have these two things, you can definitely go for a red team. And in that case, look, I placed our Craptor as the main carry because he is the main carry, the SSR main carry of the red element. His range, he has good damage, and he also has some sort of AoE, not the best AoE, but still something. And he's the best carry the red team has, if we exclude the two SSR plus carries. So that's the reason why I put him there, but you don't necessarily have to build him. Like, I don't have him built because obviously I focused on Evankel a lot, so I didn't need him. But yeah, other than him, there's really not any other units to build because look, Huarian, you will see a lot of people telling you, build Huarian. She's good, she's a great carry. She's really not. She is a carry up until floor 22, 23. So if we are building a third team, we need the third team by floor 21. She would have like one floor left to shine, and that's it. Then she remains a really great unit for supporting other red elements or for boss fights, but she cannot carry you anymore. Unfortunately, she just dies too quickly. Yeah, so I wouldn't suggest it. Then we have Xia Xia. She is a main, like she's a must unit for the red element because she has the elemental buff and she has heals. She can also restore some energy, provide shields. She's not the best support unit, but still, she's the best that red has, so you gotta have to build her. So these three are the core units in the red element, for the red element. This element unfortunately doesn't have any tanks, like this guy. On paper is good, but at high deficits in adventure, he dies, and that's it. Is good in PvP, but that's it. He's not really viable in adventure. She's okay against physical enemies, but she's not an SSR, so you cannot put her in the wish list. Then there is Yellowy. She's she's an okay support. She's a mage as a role, but all she's really needed for is the passive to give your highest attack unit critical hit rate and attack speed for 15 seconds, and then she can just die because she's useless. So yeah, this element is underwhelming, I would say. It's okay only if you built it as one of the first two teams, but as the third team, not really. Then we move on to the blue element, and this element uh, uh, is it's complicated because this element is mostly made of close range units and single target units. So he's in a better spot, I think, as compared to red, because Kunran is a close range unit, but he has 90% damage reduction in his kit. Unfortunately, he's mostly also single target, so he cannot wipe multiple enemies at the same time. It's one at a time, but it's fine. He's also an assassin, so he suffers from accuracy issues, but the same is true for a Craptor from the red team. Still, really good unit, and is also comparable to the SSR counterpart that will be Urek. He has better AoE damage, but you need a lot of investment in him because he doesn't have damage reduction. He has shields, but oftentimes it dies before he can cast any shields. So I would say it's probably the same as Evankel. He's really good if you get him to full rainbow, but before that, even now with 3 red, I didn't invest a lot in the ignition weapon, but even at 3 red, the game starts, like the battle starts and he's dead. Like, what the f? It's crazy. And this guy instead can survive for 10, 20 seconds without any problems. The biggest point in favor of the blue team is that they have data machining. She is guaranteed to survive for at least 10 seconds because of her passive. So she's one of the two best stall tanks in the game. She doesn't deal enough damage, unfortunately. Probably she would if I increased her a little bit, if I duped her up a little bit more. But I don't really want to invest in her because she gets the job done at 0 dupes. So it's more than enough for me. One of the advantages of the blue team is Blanc, the new unit that just came out at the beginning of December. She's what the blue team needed because she can provide great heals and also AoE heals, which are important, especially because all the blue element units will be like all more or less together against the enemies. It will be like a mess, and she can just throw in AoE heal and hit all of them really good. She can then buff one single unit with a similar buff than the one that Bomb can provide. Probably a little bit stronger, but uh, it has an issue, which is the same as Nare from the purple team, which is it targets the ally with the lowest HP. And as I said, for Nare, that's a problem because you cannot pick the target you want her to ult. She just ults the one that at that moment was at the lowest HP, which you cannot control. So it's not as good as a target the highest attack unit. Then the other unit in the blue team is Barod. This guy is good, is one of the best units against bosses because of his exclusive equipment level 4. It sets the physical and magic resistance of isolated enemies to 0. And also because of his level 1, which is the thing that combo with the Yellow Knight that reduces the defense by 80% when he hits the special skill. With the 20% from Blarod exclusive equipment, this is a 100% defense reduction and 100% physical and magic resistance reduction, which is really crazy. I mean, this will skyrocket your damage in boss fights by a lot. And he's also good in adventure because he has this skill that can just pull an enemy and just start attacking them. Unfortunately, your team will not focus this unit, or at least not that I could see. Like your team will just dash against the enemies, and Blarod will be the only one fighting this unit, which is also good because that means that most times the passive that applies to isolated enemies that Blarod has will trigger. The problem is that this means you need a lot of investment in Blarod for him to be able to kill a unit that's at like 3 times deficit. So he will be he will need a lot of investment for him to really shine in adventure, but he has his niche uses and it's good. And in boss fights is a really great unit. Other than these three, Blue Element doesn't really have a lot to offer. This guy, don't be fooled by the fact that I've him maxed, is not good. He's a tank that dies as quick as Hats. There are use cases for him, like against certain bosses, but I don't really like him, guys. I would avoid him. This one is not bad because he has the usual attack buff in the passive. It can also decrease the defense and swiftness of the opponent, so that's fine. Nothing too crazy though. This ranged unit is not too bad, but yeah, I don't know. He's also quite single target, so Blue Element doesn't really have a lot. This guy is good on paper, and I would probably try to build him because he can get to crazy numbers in like physical and magic reduction, which could help him survive quite a bit. With the lifesteal set and the silence and CC he can provide, I think he could be valuable. But I don't know if he could take the spot of other units. Still, red element, not in a bad spot. If you have Data Machine, well, that you will probably have because she's a must-have unit. Blue element is quite a good choice here. If you have a lot of dupes on Urek, mm, uh, I would say it doesn't really matter because probably at least 4 orange. Full rainbow would be better, but at least 4 orange for him to work. Okay, then we will move on really quickly because we're already at 35 minutes video, which is really, really long. I didn't want to make it this long, but yeah, sorry guys. Then we have the green element. The green element, for those of you who didn't pool for the collab or for new players that started playing after the collab ended, this element doesn't really offer you a lot. Unfortunately, like this element has a really great carry unit, SSR carry unit, which is Child and Dorsey. She's great. She can deal high AoE damage. She can block energy recovery. She can also resurrect. She's good. The problem is that she's all that this element has. There is this support, which is more or less a must, but the problem is that this stupid girl, she's a mage that goes into like melee range. It's stupid. So she often dies randomly for no reason. She buffs the attack of all the green element allies, blah blah as usual. AoE heal, which is really good. Single target heal and defense buff, etc. Really, really solid unit if she can survive. But she's the best that the green element has. So yeah. Then the collab units are not the best, but they are what can help the green element shine a little bit. So we have Hyunhee with some AoE sleep and damage, and also green resistant shred. She's not good. Uh, she's good on paper, she's good in PvP, but in adventure, okay, she could survive. I could invest probably a little bit more on her, but she doesn't have invincibility in the passive, so it doesn't trigger if she gets one-shotted, so not really useful. Then we have Rachel. She's a solid unit. She's great in boss fights. In adventure is fine, nothing major. For an SSR plus units is underwhelming, but still she can help push a little bit this green team. But if you don't have those units, unfortunately there is not much else. This guy, mostly single target, but overall not too bad. This guy, he is fine. With the recent buff, he's okay, but nothing too crazy. She's terrible. She just cannot do what she's meant to, so just she cannot assassinate the unit in the mirror position. I don't know, it's bad. He's supposed to have a lot of evasion, but it doesn't work against enemies that have way too much accuracy. So yeah, SSR wise, green is underwhelming. But there is a big but. This guy can carry the whole team, and you want to have at least one copy of Data Zahard anyway because he's one of the few stall tanks we have, and he can survive at the very least 6 seconds with his passive, because every time he transforms from one tier to the other, he gets 3 seconds of invincibility. So at least 3 seconds 6 seconds of invincibility in total. And if you can get him to red 3, his ultimate deals crazy damage at tier 3. And with the ignition weapon set, the lifesteal ignition weapon set, it can like regenerate a lot of health and survive. It is really, really good. So at 3 red, this guy can definitely carry the fights against the blue element. But it's an SSR plus at 3 red, so it's not really that common. Still easier probably than getting Evankel to full rainbow and Urek to full rainbow. But yeah. So also green is a nice choice, but yeah. Okay. That being said, I will try to close this video because we are at 30 minutes now, so I will try to close it up. By floor 21, you need the third team, and as I said, the choice will depend mostly on which SSR plus character you have. I would recommend the blue element, probably, also because I had a lot of difficulties on like floor 29, 28 that were mostly red. But then again, starting from like, no, okay, really floor 29, the element changes every 20 floors. So the first 20 are red, then the other 20 are blue or green, I don't remember, and then the other one, the remaining element. So yeah, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. It will depend on which one you pulled over time, where you were playing, which one you feel like you like the most with the information I've given you. And yeah, maybe by the time you reach the point you need to build the third team, new units will have come out that will change whole um, this whole like decision process that I tried to lay out. So in the following videos, like in this series, I will not talk about like tier list or how much investment each unit need, but I will make a dedicated video. I already prepared a spreadsheet with different tiers like mandatory, recommended, nice to have, and what is overkill for which units. In terms of dupes, exclusive equipment levels, and also like gear, etc. So I will share with you this in a future video, but for now, I think this is more or less enough of an overview for you guys to get started on who to wishlist for, etc. I will soon create a follow-up video for the second part of this series that will be more built towards what you should spend your suspendium on. And yeah, this is pretty much all. I will keep it shorter, I promise. It will not be more than 40 minutes like this time. I hope to get it close to 10-minute mark, to the 10-minute mark, but yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.